Defense Secretary Caspar Weinberger canceled plans to go to Bohemian Grove in California this weekend because of the possibility of more flare-ups in the Lebanon crisis. But even without the Defense Secretary, the Bohemian Grove will not close down for lack of power. And what is the Bohemian Grove?
There are rituals, bonfires, and the burning of effigies.
This is Rambo. These are the truth codes. This decode is partially an excerpt from my full video on horse racing and the sacrifice archetype. I feel that this decode deserves its own standalone decode in addition to being part of a 37-minute video. In my Omaha decode, I explained how Hall of Fame quarterback Peyton Manning's signature Omaha audible is a reference to the legendary racehorse who won the Kentucky Derby and the Triple Crown, and has the same birthday as Peyton Manning, who played exclusively for two horse-themed teams in the NFL, Colts and Broncos. Peyton Manning had been a top NFL quarterback for 8 years, and Tony Dungy had been an NFL head coach for 11 years before they won a Super Bowl, which was Super Bowl 41. With the Indianapolis Colts. This was a little over a year after Tony Dungy's son was reported to have committed suicide by hanging. Peyton Manning's famous number is 18. James Dungy died at age 18. In Gematria, James Dungy equals 119. 119, 11th September, that featured The Falling Man, after whom a documentary was made. The man struck an identical hanged man position in his descent. That is in the mystical tradition of the tarot cards. In the mystical tradition of Gematria, the phrase tarot cards has triple overlap with James Dungy, most notably at 119. The Colts, the Broncos, Omaha is a legendary racehorse connected to Peyton Manning. Racehorse has double synchronicity with James Dungy. Peyton Manning would go on to win another Super Bowl 9 years later with the Broncos. The Broncos has triple synchronicity in Gematria with James Dungy. Remember, James Dungy died at age 18. Hillsborough is the location in Sheffield, England, of the greatest sports tragedy in British history. This was on April 15th, 1989, where 97 supporters of Liverpool Football Club were killed by asphyxiation in a crowd crush. Neptune is Poseidon in Greek. The hanged man is Neptune. Neptune Poseidon literally was Liverpool Football Club's original logo. Poseidon equals 97 in simple gematria. James Dungy and Poseidon have double overlap at 38 and 119. James Dungy died in Tampa, Florida, the county of Hillsborough. Hillsborough County, which is part of the Tampa-St. Petersburg metropolitan area. St. Petersburg, named after St. Peter, who was crucified upside down in legend. The upside down St. Peter's cross being represented in tarot by the hanged man. The September 11th attack involved American Airlines Flight 11, United Airlines Flight 175, American Airlines Flight 77, and United Airlines Flight 93. When you add the flight numbers of 9/11, 11 plus 175 plus 77 plus 93, you get 356. 356 relevant to the 9/11 ritual. James Dungy is reported to have committed suicide, and 9/11 featured suicide bombers on the 356th day of the year. December 22nd, 2005. It was a day with 41 numerology. 12 plus 22 plus 2 plus 0 plus 0 plus 5 equals 41. Just as September 11th was a day with 41 numerology. 9 plus 11 plus 20 plus 01 summed to 41. Tony Dungy, Peyton Manning, and the Indianapolis Colts would win Super Bowl 41 shortly after. The number 130 is immense in rituals and events based on the hanged man archetype. 130 is the gematria value of upside down. James Dungy's body was found officially at 1:30 a.m. Moloch is an ancient Canaanite sacrifice symbol to which actual human sacrifices in the form of infants were made. A ritual that is mimicked today in Northern California at Bohemian Grove by the elite Bohemian Club, openly, annually. James Dungy is reported to have hanged himself with a leather belt. Considering that the Bohemian Club invokes the Canaanite child sacrifice ritual in the cremation of care enactment on a yearly basis, the Bohemian Club's emblem featuring a belt, most likely a leather belt, is an extremely powerful image. The Bohemian Club's most salient symbol is the owl. It is a stone owl's fires in which the human effigy is burned in their signature ceremony, the cremation of care. James Dungy died in Hillsborough County. Hillsborough Stadium, site of the mass asphyxiation of Liverpool supporters in 1989, is the home stadium of Sheffield Wednesday Football Club, which is located in the Owlerton neighborhood of Sheffield. And the home team, Sheffield Wednesday Football Club, are nicknamed the Owls. And there is photographic proof that at least mock hangings have been publicly performed at Bohemian Grove. This could or could not be an effigy. So Hillsborough, England, Hillsborough, Florida, asphyxiation in both places, the owl, the belt, enactment of sacrifice, the hanged man. The Bohemian Grove motto is, "Weaving spiders come not here." The spider reference invokes the hanged man, as spiders are another animal that likes to hang upside down and can also represent the hanged man. This is why Spider-Man is Peter Parker, a reference to the upside down St. Peter's cross. The Hanged Man Tarot card has many meanings, positive and negative. Evil forces celebrate its negative interpretations. The Hanged Man is the upside-down St. Peter's cross, the Petrine cross that the dark occult members of the powerful Jesuit order identify with. It is important to note where the name Bohemian Grove comes from. It is named and created in honor of the Catholic Bohemian Blue Bloods. Catholic St. John of Nepomuk is the official patron saint of Bohemian Grove. It is named after a Jesuit saint. In 1982, NBC News Network did a story on Bohemian Grove where it showed the St. John of Nepomuk statue.
Defense Secretary Caspar Weinberger canceled plans to go to Bohemian Grove in California this weekend because of the possibility of more flare-ups in the Lebanon crisis. But even without the Defense Secretary, the Bohemian Grove will not close down for lack of power. And what is the Bohemian Grove? Well, it's a kind of summer camp for the powerful, an all-male gathering in great secrecy. More from Dennis Murphy.
George Shultz, Henry Kissinger, and West German Chancellor Schmidt arrived by car. The chairman of General Motors and U.S. Steel came in by private jet.
If you would look at the guest list over a period of 5 years, I don't think there would be anybody of any importance in America who was missing from that list.
cabinet officers and captains of industry are going to summer camp at Bohemian Grove, an all-male retreat secluded in the redwood forest 2 hours north of San Francisco. Outsiders are not invited. What's hidden away is a little bit of Boy Scout camp and a lot of fraternity hokum. There are rituals, bonfires, and the burning of effigies. President Reagan's camp, Owl's Nest, is famous for its Eggs Benedict and Ramos Gin Fizz breakfast. But for the most part, stories about what happens in these redwoods are hard to come by. A campground statue reminds Bohemians to keep their mouths shut about the Grove.
I've heard a lot of good music there. I've met a lot of interesting people, and I look forward to listening to music again.
The most Jesuit movie series ever made was The Exorcist, that took place at Jesuit Georgetown University in Washington, D.C., and was written and directed by Jesuit and Georgetown graduate William Peter Blatty. His middle name Peter is significant. St. Peter's Cross, the upside-down cross, the Hanged Man, a central Jesuit symbol. The Hanged Man features prominently throughout The Exorcist 3. So it is significant that the owner of the Indianapolis Colts, who won the Super Bowl shortly after the hanging suicide death of James Dungy, its owner, Jim Irsay, very likely could be a Jesuit since he attended Loyola Academy in Illinois, named after the founder of the Jesuit order, Ignatius of Loyola. For an exploration of the dark side of the Jesuit order, you have to watch the Exorcist series, especially The Exorcist 3, and take note of all the symbolism. A related note on the Hanged Man representing Neptune in the tarot tradition, and Neptune being Poseidon. There was at one point a statue of Neptune Poseidon on Jeffrey Epstein's island. And then his life narrative is that he committed, again, suicide by hanging. The Hanged Man representing Neptune. And, most importantly, St. Peter's Cross, the upside-down cross, which the Catholic Church and Jesuits venerate. In English gematria, the reverse simple or reverse ordinal cipher, St. Peter, has a value of 143. Jeffrey Epstein is reported to have committed suicide by hanging on August 10th, 2019. A date that leaves 143 days in the year. 143, the gematria value of St. Peter. Epstein was directly connected to the Vatican with a portrait picture inside his temple-like building that had the Neptune statue briefly outside with Pope John Paul II. But why Neptune? Because in the tarot card tradition, the Hanged Man is Neptune. The Roman annual celebration day of Neptune, called Neptunalia, was held on the 23rd of July. Jeffrey Epstein allegedly initially attempted unsuccessfully suicide on Neptunalia, the 23rd of July. That was 18 days before his reported suicide. 18 is synchronicity with James Dungy and Peyton Manning. Epstein Island was actually officially named Little St. James. Here we see more synchronicity. James, Little St. James, Epstein Island, which is shaped like a cross, most likely the mutable cross of the Hanged Man. Little St. James, as in James Dungy, who is reported to have committed suicide by hanging. The Colt's owner was James Irsay. James could refer to James the Just in the Bible, who is considered the brother of Jesus, who was a sacrifice symbol himself, sacrificed by Rome. And who is Rome? The Jesuits. James. James can also be the name of the top running back who's now in the Hall of Fame, who won Super Bowl 41 for Peyton Manning and Tony Dungy. Edgerrin James. Gematria, astrology, the symbols and archetypes of the tarot and mythology. These are mystery elements that I refer to as the truth codes.